The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Unified Communications and Collaboration. And our guest speaker today is Sagar Abbas. He's a Senior Technical Manager with Mindtree. Sagar Abbas has 13 years of experience in connectivity, embedded and communication domain. He is currently working as Senior Technical Manager with Mindtree Limited. He has led multiple projects in the connectivity domain for multiple leading semiconductor vendors. So, without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Sagar.
Hi, thanks Aradhana for the introduction. Hello everyone. So welcome to our today's session on Unified Communication and Collaboration. Throughout the session I will be using a term UC to refer Unified Communication and UC&C to refer Unified Communication. So let's start our discussion.
Sagar, your screen is not viewable. Can you please check?
Yes, it still is showing that 96% of audio.
Is it up at your end? All right, perfect.
Yeah,
Unified Communications.
Okay. Okay, sorry for this interruption. Okay, so let's start our discussion. So we can divide our talk in following categories. So this is the agenda for our today's discussion. First, we will see what is unified communication and its component and benefits. Then we will look at the emerging trend in UC space. We'll get a look on the Mindtree's involvement in unified communication. And then in the next part of this session, we will look at the WebRTC, its use cases, and then try to get an overview of WebRTC. So let's start our discussion with communication. So what is communication? It is simply conveying your message or your thoughts to someone else. And we all know that good communication is very much needed for any business to be successful. For communication, you can use a very basic method, rather I would say a very traditional method, that is your face-to-face interaction, which no doubt is the most effective method. But in today's scenario, you can't expect that everyone to be physically present at the same location. Your team, your partners, vendors, customers, all are spread across multiple geographies, multiple locations. So now you depend upon the tools to communicate with them. But point to be noted here is that if your communication is not done at the right time with the right person, then it loses its significance because your purpose is not solved. Just give you an example. Let us say if you are using multiple independent tools like email, instant messaging, audio video conferencing, and all these applications are having its own user interfaces, its own access control, user ID password, and its own configuration settings. So in this case, managing all these tools will become very hectic and very challenging. Sometimes it can even lead you to a very bad user experience. So how about unifying all these tools? So unified communication is a system which can put all these communication tools, your real-time communication tool and as well as your non-real-time communication tool to a single place. So this makes things very simple. So when I'm saying that real-time communication tool means your telephony, your audio video conferencing, and non-real-time communication like your email, SMS or voicemail. So this unified communication is putting all these things together and making the life simple. So let's see how it will make our life simple. So as you can see on this on your screen, basically unified communication has 4 dimensions, but the ultimate objective of all the dimension is to bring togetherness, to bring seamless and effortless communication anywhere, anytime, and on any device, no matter what platform you are using and or whatever the technology you are using or whatever the protocol or network you are using, no matter. You are always connected and you can share your information. So basically, as I said, basically the unified communication combines all your real-time and non-real-time communication. I'll just give you an example. For example, you need some very urgent information to take some decision. So in this case, email may not be a very good option because here you do not know if the receiver is available or not, or he or she is going to read and respond to your email within timely manner or not. So in this case, might be you can switch to real-time communication too. So the next very important point which UC addresses is how the people should have access to the information. For example, if a person is outside the office, or might be if you are working from home, and so how can you get that access to the enterprise resources? It may be over your mobile phone, or it may be over your mobile devices or handheld devices or PC or laptop, irrespective of your location, your time. People should get that required information in timely manners. The next very important point which UC is addressing is that it's simplifying the process, it's simplifying the business process, business information things. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that we are embedding this unified communication capabilities inside the business process to make the thing simple. Just give you one example like click to call. If you want to make a call to someone, you can do it from your application itself. You need not to go out and pick up the phone and dial. This example like today I'm sharing my screen and you guys are seeing it. Okay, so here I'm sharing my information. So this is also a part of your effortless communication. So there are multiple definitions of unified communications are given by leading experts, but the crux of all these definitions is that a system which can enable people to connect, communicate, and collaborate seamlessly. Okay. And the main goal is that to improve your productivity, better time dynamics, better collaboration, and simplification of the business processes. Let's see with a simple user story. So as you know that now people are having multiple communication devices, like they have desk phones, they have mobile phones, PDAs, even they are having a multiple contact numbers. So you are not sure about which number will directly connect you to that person. So what about integrating all these devices to a single contact number so that you can always be connected anywhere, no matter where you are, no matter what is the timing. So you are basically always accessible. Let's understand this with a very simple example. Suppose you have a user and he is connected to the corporate network either using Wi-Fi or wireless network or LAN network, and he has one mobile phone and one desk phone. A very normal scenario. Now the system, this organization is having a very intelligent unified communication system in place, and now an external person is trying to make a call. This call is going to land to the call control block of your unified communication system. As I said, that system is intelligent enough, so what it will do, it will just query the presence server and try to get the information about this user's status. For example, if the person is available, then might be the system can directly transfer this call to the user's desk. If the person is not available or not in office, then might be the system can dial or the system can connect to this caller to this with this user over the cellular network. So in this case, you can see here we have unified this mobile phone and desk phone. So this is a very simple example how this unified communication is simplifying this our day-to-day communication activities. Okay, diverse users with diverse need. So in any organization, you can see that the employees can be categorized mainly into three basic groups: knowledge worker, information worker, and service worker. And the population of these groups defines how the unified communication should interact in their organization, or what type of complexity of call control is needed in their UC environment. Just give you an example. The first set of workforce is knowledge worker. Okay, so the knowledge worker person can be defined as someone who is generally an expert or a specialist. He has very limited movement and he regularly interacts with their multiple teams, their sales staff, their field support staff, product managers, and so on. But he has a very limited movement. Okay, he mostly sits inside the office. So he needs all his collaboration, unified communication and collaboration tools should be available to him on his PC or laptop. Okay. Then the second set of workforce is basically an information worker. An information worker can be defined as someone who needs to collaborate with knowledge worker to get his work done. For example, your salesperson or your call center employee. Okay. So, for example, a salesperson can reach out the expert back to his parent organization to get some immediate clarification. Or a customer service professional can connect to some expert to get the answer on the customer's query. And these information workers are sometimes very mobile. Okay, so they have to collaborate with multiple partners, they have to work with multiple customers. So they need that all their unified communication and collaboration applications should be available along with the PC to their mobile devices as well, on their smartphones or on their PDAs. So this is the one set of person. And another set of person is basically a service worker. Service worker is someone who may only use this information to do their regular job. For example, a retail store representative, okay, or a UPS delivery person. So, but they doesn't really need any telephony or unified communication system, but of course they are the part of the communication workflow. For example, if your delivery address of any consignment is changed, so might be you can connect to that UPS delivery person. But really, this message communication can be done over either a text message or voice message or using any line of business device or line of business application. So these are the different kind of person in any organization who are going to decide like how your organization has to implement the unified communication in their organization. Let's move on to the journey of unified communication, like how this unified communication system evolved. So as you know that the first thing happened to telephony is the PBX. So what is PBX? PBX basically switches your call between your enterprise users on the local line. And at the same time, it also allows you to share certain number, certain external phone lines. But all this thing is only for voice, not for data. So basically in this system, you are having two different type of networks. One is voice network and data network. Both the networks are separate. So you need a dedicated devices for your voice communication. You need a dedicated devices for your data communication. All things are as a standalone sort of thing. Okay. Then what happened in that late 90s or in 1998, 99, VoIP came. So because of this VoIP, IP-based PBX system came into existence. And IP-PBX is a PBX that provides audio, video, and data communication through the TCP/IP protocol stack to its internal network. So while in the PBX we need to have two separate networks, voice and data. But here in the IP-PBX, you can see the convergence of voice and data is happening. So over a single network, you can use your voice and data. So, okay, fine. So as convergence of your voice and data happened, so multiple applications started coming up. So multiple tools, devices, endpoints were made available to the user. But again, to manage all those things were getting difficult. So a system came which started consolidating all these traditional means of communication. And the primary focus of this system, basically it's a unified communication system, was to amalgamating all these traditional means of communication like your voice, your IM, your wireless, everything, and it's trying to put all these things together in a single environment. You can see as that unified communication is in its current form is reaching to its maturity. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that this unified communication has crossed the early adopter phase. So you can not see a very you cannot see that the rate of innovation is basically it's now slowed down. So now the focus is moved from unified communication to the CEBPs. So what is that CEBP? CEBP is basically it's an extension of unified communication. Okay. So what is CEBP is basically the communication enabled business process. So what we are doing in CEBP, basically we are embedding the communication, your voice communication or your voice and video communication into the business process itself. So in the coming years, we are expecting that the organization will streamline. So here you can see now the focus is moving from person to organization. Okay. So from standalone we move to system, and then from system we move to that person, and then from person we are moving to organization specific. So all your business applications, business processes are integrated, and we are expecting that definitely it is going to provide you a very significant process improvement. Okay. Business challenges. So here in this slide, you can see that what are the business challenges we have in today's scenario and how this unified communication is going to address those challenges. As you can see that people are using multiple devices, they want the similar user interface across all the devices, and providing similar interface is a very challenging thing for any developer or any UX designer, because all the devices are running across multiple hardwares, multiple platforms, they are running on different operating systems, and you are having, and all the devices are having different memory constraints, they are having different power requirements. So providing a generic interface across all these devices is a very big challenge. So how this industry is addressing this issue? So this unified communication industry is moving more towards the open architecture. So like they are providing the support for that, most of the open system architecture, and the user interface or this UX design is moving more towards that open source framework. So the next very big challenge here is that administration of that unified communication. As UC requires a lot of network infrastructure, like you need to have multiple servers, routers, switches. So managing all these network infrastructure is a very big challenge. So how this UC is addressing this challenge? Now all these unified communication vendors are providing a very single centralized base GUI system to administrate the entire UC infrastructure, which can help them in managing the infrastructure for the hosted environment as well as on the premises environment. They are going to have a very single interface, and using the single interface they can manage the entire unified communication network infrastructure. The second very challenging point here is that how this UC is going to address this distributed team structure. So as I said, now seamless mobilities is getting very popular. So almost all these unified communication applications, unified communication tools are available for your mobile devices, for your mobile phones. So from your mobile application you can access all these enterprise resources. Video conferencing, telepresence, and all those things are getting popular day by day. The third very important challenging point here is from the business point of view, how this organization can improve their customer experience. So as we are seeing is that lots and lots of customer care or contact center solutions are adding this unified communication feature. So what is the advantage of this? The advantage of this is that the contact center executive can see the availability of the expert and then immediately they can reach. This is the one thing. The second thing is that at the same time that contact center person can also join the call or join this conference discussion and get trained on this issue. The third or the more very important point is that how we can improve this efficiency and reduce the cost. So as organizations are always under pressure to reduce the cost of operation. So here we can see that virtualization, cloud-based service model is getting very momentum. So we are incorporating this virtualization, this cloud-based service model inside the unified communication solution. As you know, that communication is now available as a service. Okay, so you need not to buy or sell your unified, or you need not to buy or sell your communication hardware or software. Okay, you can sell it as a service. So this helps the enterprises to reduce the time to market. So this is the one slide where I just wanted to summarize all my discussion, what the discussion we have right now. This is the communication today. So you can see that this is the communication how we are having in our in today's scenario. Just a second. Yes. For example, you have instant messaging, you have voicemail, you have video conferencing, you have telephony, web conferencing, but all these applications are having their own independent authentication mechanism, independent storage. Now, what we are doing, we are unifying all these applications. So all these independent applications are getting unified, and we are seeing a single authentication, single inbox where you can have your voicemail, where you can have your email, you can get your fax mail, your instant messages, and this is a single administration interface. So using a very single interface, you can manage that entire devices. It is also leveraging that the existing databases. So for example, your authentication database. So this authentication database can be used across all these applications. So this is the way how we are unifying all these applications. This is another example which we are using in our day-to-day life. This is the example of your Microsoft Link. You can see in that Microsoft Link application or this Microsoft Link suite, all these multiple applications are integrated. These applications are basically your instant messaging, web conferencing, your chat, your voicemail, audio conferencing. All these applications are integrated in a single suite. And single configuration setting is applied to all these applications. So this is the way how we are using this unified communication in our day-to-day life. Okay, now let's go a little deeper inside the unified communication. So broadly, unified communication system consists of 3 layers: the network layer, infrastructure layer, and application layer. So what is this network layer? The network layer is the fundamental or the foundation of all this unified communication solution. This network layer needs to be high performance, resilient, and very secure, because this is going to form a foundation for the above 2 layers, infrastructure and application layer. the characteristic of this network layer is that high performance, because all your unified communication applications are very sensitive to your time latency, to their jitter. In some cases, especially in today's scenario, the increased adoption of video, these applications requires much more bandwidth. So the network has to be highly available. The second very important point for this network layer is that this network layer has to be highly available, resilient, because all your UC applications are business critical applications. So the network has to be highly available. The second very important point is the security, because it is imperative to have ability to secure all your unified communication and collaboration data traffic like any other application. Okay, so how the UC vendors are addressing these challenges? They are providing this the network layer. So they are providing a very simple platform, very simple architecture to develop their network layer. So the next point, the next layer is basically our infrastructure layer. So what is this infrastructure layer? Basically, this layer integrates your various applications by providing many type of services. Okay, and so this is the layer which is the glue layer between your network layer and application layer. Okay. So this layer provides you a binding mechanism, so where you can bind your network with your application. And the top layer is basically, it's the application layer. This is the layer where all your UC&C applications are going to sit. It includes basically your voice messaging, your mobility services, contact center applications, and many more. So all these applications are going to sit at this place. So now let us see that what are the different blocks of each layer. Okay, and so the bottom most layer is basically a network layer. So network layer is responsible for providing you a very high performance, resilient, secure network. This layer provides the quality of service needed to ensure that that application have uncompromised access to their network services. So these are, as you can see, that these are the major blocks of this network layer. So access switches, wireless, code switching, WAN aggregation routers, quality of services. These are the different blocks of the network layer. And the next layer, which is going to sit on top of network layer, is basically your infrastructure services. As I said, that this layer basically binds that network and application layer by providing the services. So what type of services? This layer mainly handles your call processing, your call routing, your session control management services, etc. So the important block of this layer is basically call processing agent. Call processing agent is something which handles your call routing capabilities, and another block is basically a call admission control. Call admission control is basically, it's like a registrar. So it is maintaining that. It's basically maintaining that registration of all your endpoints, and then the another block is basically your PSTN and IP gateways. These gateways are basically responsible for connecting your VoIP or your IP network with your PSTN network, so that you can receive your external phone calls. And the next block is basically a directory service, which is mainly responsible for handling this distributed corporate directory information. And then the next block is basically a video telephony block. So video telephony block is basically for supporting the video calls on the video enabled devices. Okay, and on top of this network infrastructure layer, the layer which is going to sit is the application and services. So this is the layer where all your UC applications, UC&C applications is sitting. And the topmost layer is the endpoint. So what is endpoint? Endpoint, basically endpoints are the devices which are going to use this unified communication application. This endpoint could be your desk phone, mobile phones, or IP phones or wireless endpoints, or it could be anything. Okay, so now let's see that the key trends in unified communication space. As I said that going forward, the unified communication system is moving towards more on the open architecture. What is the meaning of this statement? The meaning of this is that the unified communication systems are now exposing the APIs so that you can integrate this system with open applications. Or even you can develop collaboration or unified communication and collaboration application which can be deployed across multiple different vendors' platform. So let us see that. Let us see the few key trends in that unified communication space. So the first one is basically it's social integration. So what is the meaning of this social integration? Basically, as you know, that building a social platform where your employees, your customers, your partners can collaborate is very much needed in today's environment. For example, just give you an example, you can integrate your LinkedIn with your Microsoft Link so that you can have a very single point inbox where you can receive your emails as well as you can receive or you can send the messages on your LinkedIn, or your LinkedIn inbox as well as your email inbox is unified. So how these things are possible, like all these, as I said, now all these unified communication solutions are exposing APIs. They are providing the SDK. So using that SDK, you can do this type of integration. Even that organization have also started integrating these social media channels into their contact center solutions. So that what is the advantage they are going to get is that they can review these social media sites. They can see that what the feedback about their organization, the feedback about their products. So the companies can directly get the feedback from the user itself. And there are so many softwares are available now which can analyze the tweets based on their hashtag, and then you can directly route this information to the call center executives using the call center routing engine, and then depending upon these information, the call center executives can take the appropriate action. And in this space, almost all the vendors are working on to try to integrate this social media thing with their unified solution. But Siemens is a very good example because this is the differentiator for their solution. They have a very strong integration of social media in their unified communication solution. Okay, so there you can basically in this solution on the users portal you can see that entire your tweets, your tweet messages. You can follow your follower, and all those informations are available in the UC solution itself. Okay, so the next very important trend in this unified communication space is the mobility. So as most of the organizations are increasing their focus on the mobility. So what are the features which we are getting in this mobility space is that, for example, you are getting single member contact information. Okay, you are getting the companies are developing fully functional mobile clients. The vendors are providing you a unified mobile communicator. So from mobile itself, you can control your, or you can have the access of all your UC&C applications. So you are always connected. BYOD is also very popular in this space. BYOD is basically, the meaning of this is bring your own device. So the employee can bring the device of his or her choice, and the organization can support it. Of course, there are some challenges with involved with BYOD, like how the organizations are going to streamline the data security, data monitoring policies, or what is going to happen if the device gets lost or the person leaves the company, how they are going to erase this data because all this the organization specific data. So these are the few areas where the industry is focusing. But here the one very important thing which you can notice is that you can see that unified communication system is moving more towards the open model. they are moving more towards open architecture. Day by day, they are supporting a lot of open source architecture components, so you can integrate your UC solution with those open source architecture. The third very important point which is happening here is that, as you know, is the managed and hosted services. And most of the enterprises are moving towards the cloud. And almost all the communication is now available as a service. So whether it's a platform or it's a software, all these things are available as a service. Like platform as a service is also available, where you can share the platforms. Software is also available as a service. In the similar, following the same service-based model, unified communication is also providing you a service-based model, which is called as UCaaS, UCaaS, Unified Communication as a Service. Okay, basically this is a delivery model in which your service provider is going to provide you this unified communication and collaboration services as a on rental basis or on a service. The next very happening trend in this unified communication space is video. So going forward, video is going to be a central part of your unified communication, because day by day you can see all the endpoints are getting video enabled. And lots of vertical focused applications are also now integrating video into it. Okay, for example, your healthcare application. So in the healthcare application, you are embedding video. So definitely it is going to improve the quality of health. But here you can see that video is more moving. Here you can see that your video is more moving towards this vertical focused applications. It's moving out of that video conferencing sort of thing. So a lot of video focus is there. Okay, so the next point here, then we can have a multiple type of unified communication solution. Depending upon your need, you can choose what type of solution you want. For example, your solution can be based on telecom, or based on your telecommunication. For example, if you have a large number of phone calls, or your video conferencing is just only for a face-to-face interaction, not for your collaboration purpose. So might be then you can go for this telecom-based unified communication solution. If your operations are mainly based on your emails, documents, and you have to do a lot of collaboration sort of thing, then might be you can go for desktop-based solution. Or if your operations or your organization operations is completely driven by application, okay, then might be you can go for application-based solution. Like your SAP or Salesforce. So there are multiple applications are available. There are multiple applications are available where you can use this unified communication system. Okay. Okay, so now let's see that who are the major players available in this space. Mainly Cisco and Microsoft are the two leading players in this unified communication space. Both are the leaders. Cisco leverages its position because of its network infrastructures, and Microsoft is having a strong presence in that email and office type of softwares. So they are having a very good, very big installed base, and they are leveraging that to sell their unified communication services. The other leading players are like Avaya, IBM, Huawei. They all are also developing a lot of unified communication collaboration solutions. Okay, so this is that unified communication focus area for Mindtree. So where in Mindtree what we are focusing on. So these are the few areas where we are focusing in Mindtree. On the platform side, our activities are mainly related to your Bluetooth headset, like developing that remote call control functionalities to the headset, and we are also working on developing that soft phone drivers. On the test automation side, we are our main focus is to, because we have our own test framework, we are trying to automate it for the unified communication environment. The Mindtree is also focusing on mobility and unified communication client. In the mobility side, we are developing some applications which are mainly based on for iOS or Android. And for the unified communication client, we are developing some WebRTC based UC clients which can enable video conferencing, web meetings, and even a desktop sharing capabilities. On the infrastructure service side, we are closely working with one of the leading European telecom service provider, and we are supporting them in managing the UC infrastructure. So these are the few areas where we are focusing on in unified communication space in Mindtree. Okay, let's move on to the second part of our discussion, which is that WebRTC. So as I said that going forward, video is going to be a central part of the collaboration. Applications like telepresence, video conferencing, they are going to be a key. For all these applications, the driving factor is going to be a video. And WebRTC is one of the new technology going forward, which can accelerate the things going around the internet. Basically, it adds the real-time communication capabilities to the browser. We have, so what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that from the browser itself, you can make a real-time communication. We have a video on the browser for a long time, for example, YouTube, you can play YouTube, but all this is not a real time, it is not an interactive communication. So I can't have any application where we are interacting in a real time scenario with the latency of 100 milliseconds. So what WebRTC is doing? WebRTC is not doing any new thing. All these things are already available. For example, VoIP. So WebRTC is putting VoIP into the browser, and at the same time making it deployable. Okay, so and also allowing the data transfer as well. So data transfer between the browser with low latency is not a new thing. A lot of applications are available where you can get where the data arrives very quickly. For example, Twitter. Here the data arrives very quickly, but it does not guarantee that you will get the latest data, specifically if a large amount of data is queued up. So the key part which is going to drive the change here is that ease of development. So in today's scenario, if you develop any VoIP application or any collaboration application, you have to develop it for multiple devices. You need to deploy it on multiple servers, and you need to ensure that all the people have downloaded that required plugins, they have installed it on their servers or on the systems or not. Not only this, developing any communication application requires a lot of communication knowledge and communication expertise. So what this system is doing, the system is encapsulating all these technical communication technical things and exposing a simple JavaScript based APIs. And using this Java based APIs, you can do all your communication. You can develop your communication and collaboration application without knowing the underlying detail of your communication system. So here you can see that from the browser real-time, the browser is having a real-time component. So this real-time JavaScript APIs can be used to communicate with this component. And the data transfer between the browser and browser is going, or peer-to-peer is going to happen on the real-time protocol, that is on the RTC or SRTP. Okay, before going into the further detail of WebRTC, let's understand some basic use cases of this WebRTC, how it is going to be a very useful in unified communication scenario. Just let me give you one very simple example. Suppose you are visiting a sales page or any contact center page or contact information page of any website, and you need to connect to an expert. Okay. So think if you have a face-to-face communication option available in the browser itself, from where you can directly connect to the expert definitely it is going to improve your experience, because otherwise you need to change your mode. You have to go and pick up your phone and dial the phone, or write an email or send any SMS to expert to get your answer. Here you can, without changing your environment, you can directly connect with the expert. So this same example can be applied across multiple places, or across all the places where you need to have a face-to-face interaction to improve your effectiveness of the communication. So as I said, that industry is realizing the power of WebRTC. Okay, so for example, Google is also anyway, this whole WebRTC is open project is started by Google itself, but now Google is adding this WebRTC support in their Google Hangout. Cisco is also providing the WebRTC support to their WebEx application. So the industry is realizing the power of WebRTC. What is the power of WebRTC? Is that you don't need to have any plugins. You don't need any. So if you don't need any plugins, means you don't have any security violation. You don't need to worry about that people's platform. If you have a browser, it is sufficient. It will work. And now browsers are getting enabled in more and more devices, like TV, input panels. All these devices are getting browser divided. So the actual, so apart from this consumer use cases, like it can be used in your call centers product, or it can be used in your gaming or in social media. Apart from this consumer side, definitely from the business point of view, it is going to improve a lot on your virtual meeting side. You can make a better face-to-face interaction, face-to-face collaboration. But the actual potential could be inside the business application, where you can add the business flow, or might be you can add this WebRTC capabilities inside your business flow itself. So it is going to improve a lot your retail applications or your healthcare applications might be going to get the most benefit from this technology. Let us go up further inside of this. So the major thing for any communication system is that how many people it is going to connect. So if the system is only working with a newer system and it is not working with the existing system, it is a problem. It is not going to scale to a very large extent. Okay. So the very important point which we are taking care in the WebRTC is that it should work with that existing SIP-based system. So from the architecture point of view, the major change here is that it allows browser to send the data directly between them. Okay. So in this way, if we are sending a data directly to the browser, that means we are saving some time. Otherwise, because how this normal browser is the normal client-server architecture model. This browser works on the client-server architecture model. Like you will send the data, it will go to the web server, and then it will respond. The web server will respond. So in this case, you will get some latency. Okay, you will get a couple of second latency. This is not acceptable in the case of real-time communication. So this WebRTC architecture is allowing the peer-to-peer communication. So browser to browser can communicate. And the second very important thing is that it is keeping signaling apart from this. So signaling, what is signaling? Signaling can be done on HTTP protocol or SIP protocol. Okay, let me explain you what is signaling. Signaling is something which is required for client to set up a call. So a certain set of informations are getting exchanged, like what type of codec you are going to use. If you are going to have a secure communication, then what are the key informations you have. So WebRTC is keeping this signaling apart from this. So the thing is that the idea behind is that to keeping the signaling out of WebRTC specification is that you can use any type of signaling. So you can address your IP-based phone devices where your signaling are basically SIP-based signaling, or might be you can address a lot of vendor-specific devices where the vendors are using their own signaling protocols. So this is how WebRTC works. So in the case, suppose if you are accessing an application which is, if you are communicating between two browsers, then might be you can do your signaling over your HTTP protocol. But suppose if you want to interact from browser to any IP phone, okay, and IP phone is based on SIP. So then you can connect to your web server over the HTTP, and then web server will connect to the SIP proxy using that gateways, and then SIP proxy will connect to this IP phone over the SIP protocol. And then after your signaling is done, your connection is set up, then you can exchange your information over the RTP or SRTP protocol. So, okay, so fine. Let us quickly see the list of the protocols which are involved in this WebRTC. So as I said that you can communicate between two browsers, but what is going to happen if your browsers are behind some firewall? How your NAT transmission is going to happen? So to address this issue, WebRTC is using ICE. Basically ICE is a combination of a couple of stun and turn. So using this ICE, we can do that NAT transmission. Second thing is that encryption, how we are going to encrypt our data. So for encryption, here we are using DTLS, which is basically datagram TLS, and it is using the same keying mechanism of the TLS. For data transfer, for this media transport, we are using SRTP, which is basically a secure RTP protocol. So these are the few protocols which we are using in WebRTC. The second very important thing is the codecs, how we are addressing or what type of codecs are used in WebRTC. So as ITF has chosen G711 and Opus as a mandatory codec for voice. Okay, mandatory codec means that all the browser has to support this codec. If any new browser wants to add the support of WebRTC, that browser has to support these two codecs. And apart from that, any browser can add the codec of their choice. The second point here is that video codec. So what type of video codec we are going to use? The video codec we are going to use here is that VP8. Some debate is going on like whether we have to go for VP8 or H.264. VP8 is basically an open source codec, while H.264 is a license based codec. But a lot of more devices are available which are compliant or which are using this H.264 codec. So some debate is happening, but as of now, the Chrome and the Firefox, both are using this VP8 codec. So this is all I have for today. I can take up the question, and if you have any question, please post it. I'll try to take it up.
Thanks for the insightful presentation. Let's quickly take up the questions now. I request we to read out the questions and their answers so that all our users may listen to your insights. Sagar, are you able to see the questions in the question doc?
No, not yet.
All right. Can you see them now?
Okay, yes, I can see one.
All right.
Okay, so the first question here is that could you please explain about CEBP? This is from the Manjuna. So as I said, CEBP is basically the communication enabled business process. So the thing is that here you can embed the unified communication capabilities into the business process. Just give you one example. How it is going to be very useful. For example, if you want to integrate, as you can see that your calendar is anyway, it's integrated with your Outlook. Okay, you can set that I'm busy, I'm in some meeting, but the system doesn't know that what type of meeting it is. Okay, it is treating everything as a with same priority. But if you integrate your system with your CRM or with your SAP, then might be your system can understand, okay, you are in meeting, but you are in meeting with a customer, so it is a very important meeting. The system can decide whether it is whether you can be interrupted or not. So these are the intelligence where you can add in your communication system itself. Okay, so this is the one example of your CBP. I think the second question is also on the same line, like how unified communication helps the business process integration. So as I said that going forward, okay, okay, as I said that going forward, all the business processes are going to integrate this unified communication into it. Okay, so as I said that one example, like if you can integrate your system with the CRM, okay, it can give you that entire information about your customer interaction. Okay, it can give you the detail about your meetings, and depending upon that, it can decide whether it is required to interact or to interrupt you or not. And the second very important point is like it can add that click-to-call facilities. All your communications are, you can do all your communication from your application itself. You need not to go and switch your mode for communicating. So I think I have addressed these two questions. The third question is that what are the building blocks that compose unified communication implementation beside UC itself? One perhaps needs PSTN and so on. How do these interplay to provide services, voice and data? Okay, so okay, as I understood is that what are the major building? This question is from Abhijit Das. Okay, so what he's trying to ask that what are the different building blocks of this unified communication system? Okay, so the first very important building block of any unified communication system is basically your IP phone. Okay, so you can power all your devices across this IP phone. Okay, so you can start with IP phone. The next thing could be you can start consolidating your real-time communication. Okay, you can start with your real-time communication model. Like you can streamline your IM, you can streamline your fax, your emails, and all these things. And this very important point is that all your UC infrastructure has to be very resilient, very scalable. It has to provide centralized management system. It has to support service model or cloud-based model. So these are the basic, very important blocks which are required in any unified communication system. Okay, there is one more question. Could you please provide some information on the test automation that is being done at Mindtree? Okay, so what we are doing in the test automation is basically we are basically using some scripts. We are basically providing the automation to the user scenario. Okay, like using those scripts, you can TCL scripts, you can execute those test cases. It can test your device for multiple UC platforms. It can test multiple scenarios. So we are developing some scripts which can automate all these customer-defined or the organization specific use cases or any IoT specific use cases can be streamlined in this way. Okay, this is one more thing, like how we can go for the unified communication system. So the very important thing here you have to see is that we have to look for the IT cost. We have to look for what type of infrastructure you need. As I said, you need to identify what type of users or what type of use cases you have in your organization. What is the behavior of your employees? And then how can you leverage the existing communication system to add the unified communication capabilities. So depending upon all these things, you can decide. And most of the thing is like how much amount you can invest, what is the rate of return of your investment. So these are the very important things which you have to understand before moving for the unified communication. Or if you are planning to move or if you are planning to implement a unified communication system, then these are the few very important points which you need to address.
Due to time constraints, Sagar, I would request you to take the unanswered question offline, which I will share with you through email. So if you would like to take one last question and then sum up the session for today, that would be great.
I think I have addressed almost all the questions. I think almost all the questions are addressed as well.
All right. So if you would like to give a little summary to our audience before we close down the session for today.
Okay. So as I talked mainly on the unified communication. So the very important point here is that how we can club your real-time and non-real-time communication. This is the one thing. The second thing is that how we can provide a very seamless type of experience across all these applications. This is one of the very leading point, very important point. You have to provide because there are a lot of applications are available in the market. How you are going to force the user to use only your application? You have to provide excellent, very simple user experience, and the same experience has to be spread across all these devices. This is the second very important point. Third thing is that in today's scenario, all your unified communication system has to support cloud-based architecture or hosted architecture. So because moving forward, all these things are going to sit in the hosted environment. So it has to provide cloud-based model. So these are the few very important things which we have. If we are developing any UC solution, we have to take care. Or if we are supporting anybody, we need to take care for all these things.
All right. And I'm really thankful to our guest speaker for conducting this wonderful webinar today. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Sagar, for taking the time out and having us listen into your webinar.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks
have a great
for your time.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Wasn't very pain. I don't know. After some time, after half an hour.